Hi, buddy. It's so good to lay my
Hi.
eyes on you.
I don't really remember how we're supposed to do all this, but
I know.
it's fun. It's good to see your face.
Yeah. This is our first video episode.
This is our first video episode. I'm Andy Mitchell.
And I'm Sabrina Kohlberg. And this is Pop Culture Moms.
Today we're talking about a movie that you and I were so excited about. The
I know.
2024 movie Nightbitch.
When I saw the trailer for this movie, I called you immediately. I said, we have to talk
No,
about this.
yeah, you were a first responder to this, and then I
As I
saw it and I
always
said,
am.
"Wow, this is good." Okay, let me give you a brief synopsis of this movie. Night Bitch is a surreal, kind of magical realism black comedy film,
Mhm.
based on the book by Rachel Yoder. Book is the same name, Night Bitch, and the story follows a former artist who leaves her career to become a stay-at-home mom, and we see her struggling with the monotony, the isolation of motherhood.
Do you just love getting to be home with them all the time? Yeah, I do. I love it.
And little by little, she's beginning to experience these bizarre changes. And by that, I mean that she's sort of turning into a dog.
Yeah, that'll do it. That's the bizarre change.
Motherhood, it changes you and connects you to some primal urges.
Yeah.
It's so fantastical and brings us into such a surreal world where we see the primal aspects of motherhood and the wild nature of being a parent and that
Her
parental sacrifice.
sacrifices.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. It's so real. It's as funny as it is to say that she's transforming into a dog. I mean, it's unbelievably relatable
Yeah.
as a mother.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I'm never going to be smart, happy, or thin ever again. Oh, and I'm pretty sure I'm turning into a dog.
You're so funny.
Yeah.
Night Bitch was expertly written and directed by Marielle Heller, and it stars the six-time
6
Academy
times.
Award nominee Amy Adams.
I mean, she is
Second to none.
A-list. A-list.
Top.
Amy Adams has starred in so many incredible movies. She's played so many memorable mothers, from Junebug, where she was pregnant and her first Academy Award nomination, to Enchanted and the absolutely devastatingly beautiful portrayal of motherhood in Arrival, which we just talk about nonstop.
We had to really delve in there because that movie wrecked us in such a way. It's beautiful. It's that, as if anyone doesn't remember, and this will include a mild spoiler, it's the 2016 film directed by Denis Villeneuve, and it's Amy Adams is this linguist who's been recruited by the US government to study these extraterrestrials that have landed at various places around our globe, right? And so she's trying to decipher their language, and through all of this, she kind of is able to see future events, past events, and time non-linearly. And she sees the future birth and death, the eventual death of her daughter to a terminal illness.
Come back to me.
The movie really is about making this profound choice to accept and embrace the inevitable suffering she knows she's going to face, because it is also an experience that's going to encompass so much joy and so much meaning and so much love. So this is what motherhood is. Arrival is what motherhood feels like.
It
in a lot
really
of ways.
is. And it's so, I mean, it stays with me I think about it constantly. So she was incredible in that movie. She's incredible in Night Bitch. And this is our interview with her and Marielle Heller.
Hey, I'm Andy Mitchell, a New York Times bestselling author.
And I'm Sabrina Kohlberg, a morning television producer. We're moms of toddlers and best friends of 20 years.
And we both love to talk about being parents, yes, but also pop culture.
So we're combining our two interests by talking to celebrities, writers, and fellow scholars of TV and movies
Cinema, really.
about what we all can learn from the fictional moms we love to watch. Hi.
So
Hi.
exciting to talk to both of you.
know.
Let me just tell you, we loved Night Bitch.
So
I saw it a
much.
day before Sabrina, and I had to text her and say it's gonna hit you like a ton of bricks
I
because
did. I loved
because
it.
it's so, I mean, it is so resonant. It is so, it's raw, taps into that primal aspect of motherhood. But there was a lot of it that felt almost painful, almost like I was watching scenes from a war that I fought in. Like just my kids are, 4 and 6 now, and I'm still feel close to that time period. And I read that Rachel Yoder, the author of the book Nightbitch, had said that she wrote it in part due to the anger that she felt like after becoming a mother and all of the changes that happened in her personal and professional life. So I wonder for each of you, did you relate to the experience of anger after becoming a mother, or like this feeling of, I guess, the pain that comes with losing yourself, even in the best sense, to motherhood?
I know that I did. I mean, I read Rachel's book after I had just had my second kid, who's also now 4. And I think it made me start to process what I had gone through with my first child and how much I felt my identity slip away and that I didn't know who I was anymore. And I felt so much grief for that person I had been. I felt this sort of loss that I couldn't quite explain. And I did feel angry at the fact that I didn't feel like anyone totally prepared me for what that would feel like and for the complicating feelings. Of course, all of the joys and wonderful aspects, but also the parts of it that are so boring and so monotonous and make you feel like you're losing yourself or losing your mind. And the parts that are scary or and the very primal parts of it. And I think for me, adapting her book was like this processing of that whole shift within my own identity that I got to go through.
Yeah, I mean, very similarly, I went through, my daughter's 14, so I'm in another sort of transitional experience.
Yeah.
But I think what I wasn't prepared for was the internalized anger and the way that I became angry with myself. Like that I always made a joke like, well, I don't make it look easy, and I just felt like I should have been better at it. I should have had
Oh my
some
gosh.
innate understanding of like, where do I get the patients? How do I exist on 3 hours of sleep? I just felt like there should have been something like all of the love was there, but
Yeah.
just the idea, I didn't know how to take care of myself through it. And I think um, I internalized the anger. I pushed it inwards and I was angry at myself and I just took it all on. And I don't know if I'd always been doing that. And maybe becoming a mom has now taught me to be a lot more forgiving with myself, but it took time.
Well, and I think for me, I've been with my husband for a really long time. We've been together 25 years now. So we had been together like 15 years before we had a kid. And we had a pretty balanced, equal role relationship where we each kind of had our careers and we had our things and we had our separate lives. And I didn't feel like we were off balance. And then having a kid sort of threw the balance off and our gender roles sort of came out in ways.
Hmm.
Yep.
Division of labor came out just by virtue of the fact that I was carrying the child and breastfeeding and all of these things that sort of like created imbalance where there hadn't been imbalance before that felt like surprising and that we've had to consciously work against it in our marriage to not fall into those roles. And I think it happens in heterosexual relationships, homosexual relationships. Like there's just roles that come in, and if you don't look out, you kind of put your head up and you're like, how did we get here?
Marielle, you talked about the, mundane parts of motherhood, and the movie blends fantasy and surrealism with those really mundane parts. Like I remember the hash brown going in the pan, like
Yeah.
that felt to me like
Repetition.
I had been there a million times, or even the way you edited together reading a toddler a book. I was like, oh my goodness, that is the worst when they're like, so how did you balance that magical realism with the, emotions of what it's like to be a mother?
That was sort of the joy of writing this script, was finding ways to make that experience of motherhood and what I felt when I read her book, which obviously takes a different form, but how to make that cinematic, like how to put you as the audience right into that experience of what it is to be a mother, where you can't remember if you are cooking dinner or lunch or breakfast because it's all the same, and you can't remember if you've read this book 10,000 times. And that book, Good Night Construction Site, which is what she's reading to him, was the book I read with my kid, and I had memorized, and I would change the genders of the trucks so they weren't all male, but I just like had that book in my library of things that I read all the time, and I would get to certain pages and I remember not even looking at the pages and just saying the words.
No, we're gonna go see Peace, remember?
No. No.
Please.
No. No.
Aren't you so tired?
No.
All the vehicles are
No.
tired. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
When you're so tired and you're not even present, you're not playing with your kid, you're not having fun, you're just sort of in this like trying to make it through to bedtime feeling, and then at the same time knowing like they're not going to be this little for long, they're going to grow up, I'm going to miss it when it's gone, but how do I get through it today? And I just want them to go to sleep. It's so complicated.
I really felt that. I really felt that. One of the major themes, I think, in the movie is that the responsibility of child rearing, like majorly, like we've said, falls on the mom. And that I think even if your partner is evolved and involved, you still are shouldering most of it. And I think that's it's like there are so many scenes in the movie where your husband, played wonderfully by Scoot McNairy, like he's like, looks like he's gonna help, and then he says, okay, what's next? And you have to tell him like bath is next. So it's like even if someone's like eager beaver to help, you're orchestrating it. Or like calls it babysitting when he's caring for his own child. Like there's just a lot of like they're funny almost, but it's very, very relatable and very real for families now.
Yeah, absolutely.
God.
It always makes me laugh because I have a husband. He's great. He's since my daughter was born, he's always been such an active participant. But goodness Lord, if I sent him to the grocery store without a list,
Oh yeah. Gosh.
like there's gonna be something.
My husband and I try to switch off, but God love him, while we were making this movie, there was some moment where something was happening with one of the kids. I was like, call the pediatrician, and he was like, who's their pediatrician?
Yeah. Just familiarize me with, they go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Just where?
Well, Scoot does such a great job at playing that sort of weaponized incompetence. Sort of stuff.
Yes.
I feel like I'm stuck.
Make up a plan, draw up a schedule. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice.
I'll try.
It's really not intentional, he's really not the antagonist, but he does when that bath scene where he keeps asking for things, I was like, oh.
What do you both hope that audiences take away from the film about the messiness or the beauty of motherhood?
I guess, I hope that it makes people feel a little bit less alone, whether they're going through being a parent, or maybe it just makes them think about their own mother and appreciate what she might have done for them in a different kind of way. I think anytime we're showing a more honest, real depiction of what long-term marriage is, or life, or what it is to be a woman aging and bodies changing and becoming a mother, like anytime we're more honest about these things, I think it brings us closer together. It makes us feel less alone.
Yeah, I echo that. I think it's already been so impactful to hear people's responses to the film, and I think hearing other women look at me and say, I feel so seen, it just feels really great. And also to hear people say, I went home and called my mom. So both of those things just are really touching and really meaningful to me, and to get to be a part of this piece with Mari, who is so bold and brave in her presentation of this film. I'm just really honored.
On Pop Culture Moms, we talk about different depictions of moms in TV, in movies. And I wonder, Amy, you've played a ton of different characters, a ton of moms. I wonder if there's any that stand out as like your favorite, or you might not have even liked them, but you just enjoyed the process. But I wonder who sticks with you.
My favorite moms that I've played. I'm now reviewing. I mean, I'm this one, because it's probably the most authentic and closely aligned to an experience that may or may not resemble mine. And but I also loved the way that Arrival depicted motherhood and sort of the heartbreaking choices she has to make in that. I remember moments in the middle. It was interesting because I was playing a character that, well, I don't want to give it away, but anyway, playing a character that wasn't a mother yet, sort of like having to experience sort of the full span of her parental experience and like have that these emotional awakenings inside of her. It was really a privilege to get to play.
That's our favorite. We talk about it often.
I just did something real tough on myself, which I was like, Sabrina, I'm gonna do a rewatch. Now I must have seen the movie. No, I must have seen the movie before I had children because I was watching it. I go, I almost mind erased the motherhood aspect and was more like, okay, when she learns their language, it is
I know she was focused on the
everywhere
wrong
all at
thing.
once. And then Sabrina goes, I told you it was a lot of emotion there. And I said, this is the feeling. This is the feeling of the uncertainty of motherhood, the knowing that, like, if knowing in life, good or bad, that there are things ahead of you that are going to be painful and you're going to grieve, and do you choose to do it? And it's like, of course you do, but that's what it feels like, having your, like someone has said, your heart is walking around outside of your body, and it feels so precarious.
And getting to this part of motherhood, I talked to Mari about this earlier, and it probably will still make me emotional. Kind of rewatching the movie and recognizing like this feral free way that she starts to engage with her child. I'm like, I want to go back and do it again. I want to give my daughter that permission to be in feral, and it really moves me. And like how that monotony becomes memory, and then it's a distant memory. And what I wouldn't give to sing my daughter's lullaby for a third time, which like, I've threatened now tonight I'm going to go in there. Of course, her lullaby was Fast Car, so it was like a long, intricate.
Amazing.
She called it the subway song because she heard a busker in the subway sing it. I think she liked the story, but I think she liked that it was over 3 minutes long, so she could get 15 minutes extra out of bedtime if she just kept me in it. But I would love to go back and sing that to her. She's such a great kid, but I think I've also scared her because she knows that I have a very high threshold for embarrassment. So she's like, I just don't want to risk that my mom's going to like, I know it's horrible. On her
Embarrassment
day,
is so
I think it was
interesting, though.
her beginning of 8th grade year, I put my head out the window and sang the line that Giselle sang to in Disenchanted.
Stop it.
Believe in yourself.
Morgan, you're gonna be great. Just believe in yourself.
She was like, oh no, but yeah.
And so many people would have been so excited about that, but when it's your mom, you're like, no, please no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Monotony becomes memory. So
Yeah, it does. That's a beautiful line. Yeah.
you guys enjoy reading Good Night, Construction Site.
Good night, construction site, probably 25 times.
We had we talked to Gillian Flynn, and we're talking about sharp objects and all of her. She has so many depictions of like female characters, of course, but there are mother characters that she's writing that are so like importantly flawed. Meaning, like you said earlier, Marielle, there's like a representation matters. Just having like more nuance to the idea of motherhood being shown out there helps us all. But she was saying that she really related to not the cutting aspect, but related to Camille in Sharp Objects. And I have read that you said that you could relate to that feeling of like a deeper sadness within you that is like almost following you around.
So we touch on this in this film, but it's something I'm realizing I touch on a lot, is this idea of generational trauma and sort of how we pass that down, through our lineage. And I think that's one of the reasons it feels so ingrained, is that it's not only Camille's trauma, or, as it were mine, it's passed on from generation. It's like a voice in the trees, like that song.
We thank you so much for your time.
Thank
I
you,
want to
guys.
ask you just one silly question before we go. I'm sure you might have, I hope you've thought about it, because I've thought about it. If you were a dog, what kind of
Oh.
dog would you be?
Oh, Mark, what do you think you are?
I don't know, but I do think I would be some kind of a big dog. And I feel like we had conversations on set when we were working on your bark, because you kept doing a bark that felt like a little dog. And I kept being like, okay, let's get our big dog energy up.
Yeah.
I would just be some kind of a dog that could like rip someone's throat out.
Yes.
Yeah, but you would be a very, like, you're almost like a border collie. Really intelligent, needs to stay stimulated.
Yep.
Can
Can really handle a task.
can
Yeah.
handle tasks. You can like
Yeah.
get a group of people together
Yeah, I
in a
can
very
herd
thoughtful
everybody.
way,
Yes.
have a ton of energy. I don't know. I'm just going out there because I was thinking of a
Yes.
really smart dog.
I appreciate that. I'm going to
That's
take
very
that.
nice.
I'm on
I
board.
always say I'm a little more, I mean, maybe I have small dog energy. My daughter says I'm a little bit like a King Charles, but I think that's just my hair color. But I think golden retriever. I just want to
That's
talk to
nice.
everybody. I want a snack and a cuddle and
That's
a
perfect.
long walk. Nothing too
I
complicated.
love that.
I can
love
get the
that.
job done, but I can also just cuddle and lay.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's
Oh my gosh,
perfect.
this is a highlight. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
film. Thank you for all of your work, and thank you for talking with us today. This has been
Yes.
the greatest experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Nightbitch is in theaters now. If you were a dog, what dog would you be? Andy?
It's I have big dog energy, but like a big, lovable, friendly dog.
Okay.
So I almost want to say like a Bernese Mountain Dog.
Okay, I see it. I see it.
Wish I
Yeah.
had glossy hair like that though.
I
What would
know.
you be?
I feel like I would be the dog that I have, which is Buzz, a Shih Tzu, and we'll throw up a picture for you because he's got a
gorgeous.
face only a mother could love.
Honest to
And
God,
I really
so
feel I
lovable.
share his energy.
I love that.
Yeah. All right.
This was
well,
fun.
See you
Talk
next
to you later,
week.
pal.
Bye.